Temperatures and dry weather make a troubling mix for local firefighters. A fight over sewage turns into a battle over legal money. And a pleasure cruise for a local Navy man heads into troubled waters.
The Channel 2 News with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, the 14th of June. Summer heat is making an early visit to the islands. Temperatures this weekend hit near 90, tying all-time records for the date. Today's mercury was shy of the mark, but the heat is already causing trouble for firefighters. Facing the hot spell and an unusually dry winter, the Honolulu Fire Department's on edge. Howard Deshefsky reports.
It is a scene the Honolulu Fire Department would like to avoid, but with summer just around the corner and Oahu's annual rainfall far below normal, the brush fire season is inevitable.
Well, we're expecting a rash of brush fires like we normally do every summer, and it's not going to be any different than the other summers. What we're trying to do basically is to step up our firefighting forces, maybe with a multi-company response to catch it at its incipient stages and trying to prevent it from spreading.
As is usually the case this time of year, the greatest concern is on the leeward coast of Oahu, where the dry brush is often head high.
We're definitely concentrating on saving the home and basically saving lives.
Chang also says if the fire is not threatening any structures, his department may very well just let it burn.
Basically, if we put it out, they'll light it up tomorrow or the next day, and it'll just continue to burn again. If it's wasteland, we're going to let it burn, and the burnout area won't affect anybody.
More than anything, Chang says the best fire prevention is educating the kids, something the department works at, and something he says parents should work at as well.
Telling them about the hazards that can happen, getting burned, ending up in some hospital with scars, on the lives it can cause, the loss of their home, their property. I think it begins with the family. If the parents can educate them, then we can do our part.
I'm Howard Deshefsky, Channel 2 News.
And some youngsters appear beyond the reach of parental supervision. Police took 2 boys, 6 and 8 years old, into custody yesterday afternoon after a fire in Nanakuli. Yesterday's fire is at least the 7th on Oahu, blamed on arson in the past month. A federal court judge will decide how much money environmental attorneys will receive for taking the city to trial over the Clean Water Act. As Mary Zanakis reports, the Sierra Club Legal Defense Fund is asking for $600,000, but the city says that's $600,000 too much.
In April, the city was fined $718,000 for violating the Federal Clean Water Act at the Honouliuli Sewage Treatment Plant. Attorneys for the Sierra Club Legal Defense Fund took the city to court, and now they want to get paid. They're asking for $600,000 in attorney fees and $200,000 in out-of-pocket expenses. The city says they don't deserve a dime because the money they want is grossly disproportionate to what they achieved in court.
Plaintiffs sought over $52 million in terms of civil penalties and remedial actions. They got substantially far less than that. The civil penalties that were ultimately awarded was $718,000.
But the Sierra Club Legal Defense Fund says $600,000 in attorney fees is appropriate. And the group accuses Mayor Frank Fossey of waging a campaign designed to change the truth.
I think it is the most unprofessional, undignified, and inappropriate behavior. It is a matter of shooting a messenger who has brought a very important message.
The whole backbone of this case was really, was this plant causing the type of impact that plaintiffs said it was? Was it really this picture of doom and gloom that plaintiffs said it was? We see that as a result of the trial, it was none of those things.
To argue that the city won this case on any level is just absurd.
Judge Harold Fong will go over the case and then issue a written decision on how much money the attorneys for the Sierra Club Legal Defense Fund are entitled to. At federal court, Mary Zanakis, Channel 2 News.
The Sierra Club Legal Defense Fund claims if the case had been taken to court by private attorneys, the legal fees would have been much higher. A 30-year-old punch bowl man was arraigned today in district court on charges that he stabbed his wife 4 times with 4 different knives early Sunday morning. Sa'io Leofau was charged last night with second-degree attempted murder for allegedly stabbing his wife in the forehead and 3 times in the back during an argument at their Lusitania Street apartment. Police say the knife blades were broken off during the attack. Leofau is being held at OCCC. His bail has been set at $100,000. The victim, 25-year-old Liaki Leofau, is now in fair condition at Queens Hospital. Trial opened today for a man accused of shooting a Miley man to death in his front yard last year. But the defendant says he did not do it. Barbara Marshall reports.
23-year-old Gary Rabaliza is on trial for second-degree murder. In opening statements today, the prosecutor told a jury Rabaliza killed 31-year-old Nelson Ariel. Ariel was watering his yard last July 16th when a black car pulled up in front of his house. His friend, Joe Gouveia, had gone into a van to get a beer when he heard a shot and found Ariel bleeding.
And Nelson, in his dying words, said, "Joe, Rabaliza's."
He told me, Rabaliza's.
Did he say anything else?
I'm gonna die.
But Rabaliza's attorney says Gouveia and another eyewitness couldn't identify Rabaliza as the gunman. Rabaliza admits his car was in the neighborhood that day, but only to visit a friend, he says.
It was clear to him that Don was not home at the time, so he just went around the block to come back home.
The prosecutor says the motive for the murder was an earlier incident, when Ariel was supposedly speeding on a street where Rabaliza children were playing.
Nelson nearly hit some of the members of the Rabaliza family. And this angered the Rabaliza family.
If you look at the evidence as a whole, the prosecution has bits and pieces of evidence. It's as if they have pieces of a puzzle that don't fit, and they try to make it fit.
And Rabaliza is hoping the prosecutor won't convince a jury those pieces do fit. I'm Barbara Marshall, Channel 2 News at Circuit Court.
That trial is expected to last into next week. The Coast Guard today rescued a Navy man whose private sailboat ran aground off Waikiki. The 27-foot vessel got in trouble early this afternoon off Fort DeRussy Beach.
I went to anchor and everything just went all to hell.
Surfers and others tried to help. The fire department dispatched its helicopter, as did the Coast Guard.
We were trying to pull down a sail, set another anchor. A couple of Coast Guard boats showed up. The surf started breaking into the cockpit and filling up the cabin a little bit. So I wanted to try and pull down the sails, get the cabin bailed, and keep water from entering. Finally, the surf just got so bad that there's no way I could really stay aboard.
First time this ever happened to you?
That I'm going to sink a boat? Yeah.
Forney purchased the sailboat for $8,500 and has insurance. He hired a salvage firm to pull the boat off the reef. Salvage workers expect to work until dark. We'll have more on the rescue effort tonight on our 10 o'clock news. And when our Channel 2 News continues, a little girl's trip to the hospital signals an invasion of jellyfish on local beaches. And a native Hawaiian group denounces the state's plans for sovereignty and urges the governor to exercise his veto. A group favoring sovereignty for native Hawaiians wants the governor to veto a measure to establish a sovereignty advisory commission. Kalahui Hawaii says Hawaiians, not the state, should control the process leading to native self-determination. Ray Lovell reports.
About 24 Kalahui Hawaii members met at the statue of Queen Liliuokalani near the Capitol this morning to denounce the measure which provides for a 19-member Sovereignty Advisory Commission.
Here, self-determination, native self-determination, is made to depend on gubernatorial appointments.
So the group, which claims some 18,000 members statewide, is urging the governor to veto the bill.
We hope that the governor will back the true rights to self-determination and sovereignty.
They picketed Washington Place, the governor's official residence, saying they would refuse to participate if the governor signs the bill. Kalahui is calling on the other pro-sovereignty groups to also boycott the governor's Sovereignty Advisory Commission.
We're working to ensure that other sovereignty groups boycott this entire process, as it is not a true meaning of self-determination.
Kalahui members instead favor having Hawaiian homelands and ceded trust lands turned over to their organization.
It should be we Hawaiians choose our destiny. We Hawaiians determine the true rights to self-determination.
Kalahui says it will campaign against the re-election of all state lawmakers who supported the Sovereignty Advisory Commission bill. I'm Ray Level, Channel 2 News.
The governor's deadline for vetoing bills passed by the last legislative session is Wednesday of next week. An influx of jellyfish sent a little girl to the hospital today, forcing lifeguards to post warning signs at Ala Beach Park. The 12-year-old girl suffered an allergic reaction to the sting and was taken to Kapiolani Children's Hospital. Officials identified the creatures as a box jellyfish, a type that packs a sting more painful than other varieties. The jellyfish are carried to local beaches by seasonal ocean currents. Last Friday, officials identified a fish caught in Kunia Stream as a piranha. But with help from the aquarium, the fish has now been recognized as a less dangerous member of the piranha family.
That was a pacu. It's a close relative of the piranha. In fact, if it's in the same family. But the pacu is, unlike the piranha, which is flesh-eating, the pacu is a vegetarian.
And while the pacu aren't hazardous to humans, they can be harmful to the environment. As aquarium fish, pacu are not illegal to bring into the state, but because it is an alien species, the fish should not be released into the environment. And they're not going to win any beauty contests. Still ahead on our Channel 2 News, finding a missing pet may be a little easier with some help from modern technology. We'll show you how a computer chip can come to the rescue and ease a family's anxiety about a runaway pet. Statistics show 1 out of every 3 family pets will run away or somehow get lost. Local veterinarians and the Hawaiian Humane Society are working on a more efficient way of reuniting lost pets and their owners through the use of computer technology. Marvin Buenkenseo reports.
Oahu veterinarians donated electronic scanners like this one to the Humane Society in an effort to bolster the use of a nationwide microchip pet identification system.
As a pet owner, I know how dogs can get loose.
Here's how it works. A pet owner takes the family animal to their friendly neighborhood vet. Once there, the doctor injects a half-inch microchip into the animal, usually between the shoulder blades. In the case of birds, the chip is injected into the breast muscle.
We'd like all pet owners to put identification on their animals, and for those people that are uncomfortable with the collar and the tag, this is a wonderful alternative that they should consider.
It's a simple 5-minute process that doctors say is much more reliable than using tattoos or tags.
The pets don't seem to mind the injection at all. If they seem to have any problems, it's being held.
The procedure itself costs about $30. It'll also cost pet owners a one-time fee of $35 to be entered into a nationwide registry. As you can see here, Toto, come here, Toto, is doing just fine.
It's nationwide, so we're not the only ones, and we're not stuck in the Pacific.
And because the microchip is encased in glass, there aren't any long-term side effects. Humane Society officials will scan every animal they receive for the implanted chip. And just to be sure, the scanners will be used one more time before the animal is put to death.
Prior to euthanasia, they will be scanned again, and again the animal will have one more chance to find its owner.
Marvin Buenkenseo, Channel 2 News.
Hawaiian Humane Society officials emphasize their role is to identify any lost animals, and that if you are interested in having your pet implanted with a microchip ID, you should visit your veterinarian. Bob Hogue here now with sports highlights from the Aloha State Games.
That's right, youth soccer competition going on at Kapiolani Park. The kids really into it. More than that, the parents really into it. We're going to have some highlights when we come back. Stay tuned. Everybody, each day of this week you can expect hundreds of stories to unfold surrounding the annual Aloha State Games. This afternoon we were lucky to catch a few of those stories at the youth soccer event. Here's Ron Mizutani.
One of the more popular events during the Aloha State Games is youth soccer. This year the outdoor soccer event attracted 45 teams, and this afternoon the competition was down to the medal round. In the girls 14 and under silver medal game, Lokahi of Mililani took on the Raiders, also of Mililani. Tied at 2 with a minute left, Lokahi's Malia Beater breaks free for the game-winning goal.
My coach told me just to attack the goal, because we only had a little bit of time left, so that's what I did.
But the game of the day, the 10 and under gold medal matchup between the Kailua Master Blasters and the Aiea Terminators. Sherry Ron's goal gives Kailua a 1-0 lead at the end of the first half. Aiea came back to tie the game at 1, forcing a shootout, and that's where the real story begins. Kailua goalie Sarah Takekawa was nearly perfect.
You just have to try your hardest to knock the ball out, and when the ball gets by you, just dive on it or hold it as close as you can.
Takekawa allowed just 1 goal while her teammates scored 3. Kailua wins the shootout 3-1. And so the Master Blasters go home with the gold.
I was scared that it was going to get past me and that we were going to lose, but it didn't matter as long as we played 100%.
From Kapiolani Park, Ron Mizutani, Channel 2 Sports.
All right, great story there, Ron. The biggest story in Major League Baseball this season has been the incredible start of the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are so hot that their lead in the National League East is already up to double digits. We check them out tonight against Montreal. That's where the Phils showed off their power. John Kruk, the line drive, homer to left to put them up by a score of 4-1. Then in the 9th, bases loaded, Jim Eisenreich with a drive to right center. It's out of the yard, a grand slam, and the Phils are just cruising. Now, the rest of the story in this ball game would be the pitching. Terry Mulholland in complete control. The Phils win again 10-3. Here's the National Board. Philly over Montreal. The Mets topping Atlanta 7-4. Florida lost to Chicago 6-3. The Cards down the Pirates 8-3. And the Dodgers over the Rockies in the 9th. In the American League, the East-leading Tigers continued to win. Tonight against Cleveland, Travis Fryman with a 2-run shot to left field to put them on top in the big-time rain. Then the very next hitter is big Cecil Fielder, and the big guy unloads. A blast off the roof. The Tigers win again 7-3. Here's the American League board. Tigers over the Indians. Yanks blast the Red Sox 4-0. The Twins over the Blue Jays 4-3. Birds beat the Brewers 8-5. KC trails at Seattle. The White Sox lead the A's in Oakland, and California leads Texas. Finally, in sports, the General is talking boxing tonight. Here's Les Kiter with his latest general opinion.
Big George has collected his last big payday. The incredible comeback career George Foreman finally ran its course. Not in an all-out Foreman-like slugfest with bodies crashing to the floor and ending with a KO. No, Big George finally came a cropper with a series of sputtering performances, even a win or two after his title loss to then-champ Holyfield, and last week's unanimous decision to the less than impressive Tommy Morrison. The young 24-year-old is 2 decades younger than George and seemingly light years away from wearing a title belt. For George, it's hard to believe it was 25 years ago he was a heroic Olympic heavyweight who whipped the Russian to win the gold medal in Mexico. 1968 in the boxing venue in those games. The blow-by-blow announcer caught up in the thrill and excitement of the Americans' win. Working ringside with the immortal Jesse Owens, he'll never forget that golden moment with George Foreman. I know. You see, I was that ringside announcer. That's general opinion tonight.
We all do tend to get a little bit older, and George has done that.
He certainly has. All right, thanks, Bob. Let's take a look at our island weather now. High temperature in Honolulu today, 86 degrees. The overnight low was 72. Currently 79 degrees, relative humidity 67%. Our wind southeasterly at 10 miles per hour. The frontal band of dark clouds you see to the west of our state is about 600 miles away and weakening. However, forecasters say decreasing winds will mean some cloud formations over the interior of all islands, bringing a few light sprinkles tonight and tomorrow. High temperatures around the state range from 90 degrees in Kahului today to 83 degrees in Kona. Tonight, forecasters say mostly fair skies, a low in the lower 70s, and tomorrow mostly sunny, a few afternoon showers, a high in the upper 80s, and trades 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight on our Channel 2 News at 10, we'll have reaction to President Clinton's new Supreme Court nominee, plus a proposed Honolulu City Council ordinance would extend the smoking ban to condos. Violators could face a fine. We'll tell you about that. And a new baby dolphin at Sea Life Park. Those stories are just part of our Channel 2 News at 10 o'clock. Finally tonight, did you know in the credits at the end of the movie Jurassic Park, the filmmakers give thanks to Kauai Mayor Joanne Yukimura. Unfortunately, they misspelled her name. Being a credit junkie, I happened to notice that Saturday at the film. That movie, by the way, largest opening ever for a film, $51 million it took in.
And what did you think?
Like the movie, extremely violent, not for young children. Would not send anyone under 8 or 9.
What about the dinosaurs? Very real?
Very realistic. The ending of the film I thought was a little weak, but overall an A, 2 thumbs up, 4 stars, but not for young kids.
Not for young kids.
No.
That's a good warning.
Okay. That's our early report for this Monday. Bob and I'll be back with the latest news and sports on our 10 o'clock news right after the movie Hell Hath No Fury. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again at 10.
See you then.